Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen. Morning. We are back. It is Friday. I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. We are here. I hope everyone is happy. We made it through another week. Y'all, this was, ooh, baby. But you know what? I learned a lot this week. So that is a good thing. It's a lot of growth that happened this week. So a win is a win. All right. So today's topic actually dropped in my spirit last week, and I keep hearing it. And I know part of it is for me, right? A lot of these messages is also things that I can go through and things that I have to reflect on. But then I also know how many other people are out here praying for things and they're not giving God space to do it. All right, we got to talk about it. If you are praying for things and you don't give God space to do it, this is the conversation that you need to have. You need to tag, like, subscribe, share this with someone, because we always know someone that is out here and praying for everything and not giving God space for anything, right? So let's talk about that. So the first thing is that we got to check the alignment, right? Check the alignment of what you're praying for. Meaning, do my daily actions match what I've been praying for? Right. And many of you, if you have ever heard the story, I think it was Steve Harvey, one of them, they were saying how they was praying for a new car. And they had an old car. And the old car was in the parking space. It was broke down. Like it needed to be moved. In order for something new to be parked there, what was old had to be removed because it wasn't in alignment, right? So you're passing this thing here that needs a lot of work, that needs some attention, that something has to happen and you're not doing it. That's like praying for peace, right? And you stay with drama-filled people. You stay around people that are that want to argue all the time, people that want to gossip, that want to cause drama. If you're praying for peace and you're choosing to stay with this company, and the company is constantly bringing more drama and nothing but action that you're not looking for, then you have to look at, what am I doing, right? Am I aligned for what I'm praying for? Am I choosing? And this is how we have to start making intentional decisions in our lives. It's because of the things that we're praying for, and now we have to also do something. Sometimes it's not always that you want God to do it for you. It's a lot of action of what you have to do too, right? Praying for opportunities. You're out here praying for new opportunities, but you're not positioning yourself, right? I remember, and this is more of what I remember going through in the last like 7 years. Making sure that my LinkedIn profile was speaking to recruiters so that I did not have to apply for jobs, right? That's what we want. When you are praying for opportunities, you want things to just come to you with ease, right? And so, yes, you want to still knock on doors, but again, if you're not positioning yourself so that it can just come to you, then you have to figure that out. Praying for income, but you're not setting up anything. Y'all hear me talk about this Side Hustle Trailblazers course, right? I talk about how you can start making money with different apps, how you can take one of your gifts and talents that you have and you can start making money. You doing UGC, right? You're praying for this income. You're praying for money, and God is giving you all ideas. And y'all know I know I spoke about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Okay, you're praying for this, but you're not setting anything up. Your profile is not set up on Marketplace, on Thumbtack. You're not. I think about when 2018. Oh my gosh, 2018, I took this crazy job. And even though it was a full-time job, I was an assistant director. It was horrible. And I needed more money. And I remember setting a $5 ad on Craigslist to offer computer software training to adults. And literally, that $5 was the best investment I made because that carried me until I left that crazy place. That helped me to add income to my house. But again, I'm praying for the income. God gave me the idea. I had to set something up, and that's what I did. And you see how the opportunity came? So, this is where a lot of alignment does have to come, right? Over control crowds out motion and movement, right? Over control. And I know this is one of my issues, trying to control every aspect, right? I always think about the meme of DJ Khaled. Morning, Paula. There's a meme of DJ Khaled, and it's like he's peeking in like to a room, and it's like me checking in with God to make sure if he, to see if he needs my help. That's control. You're trying to control the situation. You sat and you prayed and you're like, God, I need this, I need this, I need this. And really there's nothing for you to do. You just kind of gotta wait. But because we have this sense of I need to have control, that can actually limit what can happen. And I always feel, in my experience, what I have seen personally, whenever I did that, it never worked out the way I needed it to work out. And I think about even in the last 2 years, I do contract work, right? So when you're a contractor, your work is it's like 9 times out of 10 is project based. So it's just like, hey, we need you to finish out this project, every week, give us updates, blah, blah, blah. And I was doing that. And I remember I kept praying for I want easy money, God. I want easy money. And I tell people, there's nothing wrong for praying for easy money. I'm sorry. I'm over the hard working days. I've been working since I was 14 years old. I'm good. Okay. I'm good on that. And so I kept on going out there, forcing, knocking on every door, applying to things that I didn't even want to do, things that had no interest. But because they paid a little bit more money, or because they just paid, sometimes I was just applying. That control was putting me in situations that were not healthy, that I did not want to be in. And it was because I was trying to control and I was trying to force this timeline and I'm trying to make something happen. And even though when I would pray and I was like, hey, God, should I take this opportunity? And I would get a real heavy no. But I still took it. I still took it. And so when I took that, it was not giving me the results that I wanted inside feelings, right? My feelings wasn't feeling good. So you have to think about that. Am I praying for something, but I'm just gonna leave that prayer and I'm just gonna go do everything that I want to do and forget that I even went to God and I can't give him space. So I don't want us to do that. Okay. You have to create that space. And that creating space is gonna look different for every prayer. So I'm gonna give you the example that I am currently going through. This is the year of passive income. I claimed that in January. I actually claimed that in December. This is the year of passive income. I want to every single day, without doing much of anything, I want to be able to make money, even if it's just $5, right? Even if it's just $5. And I remember just saying that. And so recently in prayer, I was, I'm like, God, I know I have all these contracts. I'm thankful for it. I think it. But I'm starting to realize I might be blocking what you are trying to do as far as bringing in the more passive income and the more ease. Because again, my prayer is passive income, money with ease. Money I don't have to work hard for, right? That is my prayer. But I'm working extra hard, stupid hard. And this week I actually had to make a decision because it's becoming too much, right? The demands and just knowing what this organization, what they demand and I believe that they deserve that. They deserve someone that can give them 100% full undivided attention. I can't do that, not long-term, because my long-term contract is my main priority. And right now, ironically, they're going through a shift. So now I have to shift my energy towards supporting that particular project. And so it was just like you're praying for passive income and you're praying for ease, but you're doing all this work, you're stressing yourself out, you're feeling burnt out. What do you do? What do you need to do, Tanisha? And that's when I sat and I had a very uncomfortable conversation. I let them know, when this cycle is over, I will be stepping back because I need to give my energy so that I don't burn out, right? And I tell people all the time, you have to know your capacity. And I know for me, being the fact that I already had a mild stroke back when I was 22, because I look, if I liked what I do, I'm gonna go hard for what I do. But unfortunately, you got to know your body, and that's why I honestly feel like I've developed psoriasis, because these are all autoimmune disease. And for me to develop something that literally is like stress inside of my body fighting to get out, yeah, I need to be very mindful of that and pay attention to that. But I also got to create that space so that God can take it up a notch, right? Because right now I'm doing good with my passive income. I every day, like between the apps, I always talk about Recco. Recco is one of the apps that I use. If you already create content on Instagram and Facebook, like beauty care, makeup, that's the app that you want, right? And about every other week, I make about $50 passively. And so for someone, you probably like, man, $50, that's nothing. But for a woman, right, we can easily go spend $100 on just our feet and our nails. So if I make a passive $100 every month, I don't have to worry about my nails and feet anymore, which I haven't been thinking about because I just transfer the money in. I'm at the nail salon because I have the passive income. But I'm like, if I'm doing that on one app, I know I can do even more if I step back and I create that space, because this is now an energy space. Because I truly believe, I'm like, I don't think God is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to give you, you're burnt out. I'm going to give you just all of this and you're just working hard and working hard. And yes, keep grinding. And I'm like, nah, God, that's not how you believe. That's the world's belief. That we got to grind and work hard and you got to work 70 hours a week. That's not God's thinking. So create that space. And in this space, I need to simplify my schedule. Give him the space to do what he said he's going to do. So in this case, for me, I need to simplify. I really need to create that space of just everything coming, because right now it feels like chaos. Right now it feels anxious because I'm doing too much. So I want you to think about it in that space. Where are you not creating this energy space for God to come and just do it? What do you need to do? So is that simplifying your schedule? Is that realigning or removing yourself from commitments, right? So I know I had worked with someone a couple of years ago and they were overcommitting for nonprofits. Like they were like volunteer queen of the jungle. They were volunteering everywhere. Everybody's bored, everybody's volunteer and just doing. And eventually they was getting burnt out and they kept praying for, an easier life. That's how we ended a meeting, because they kept hearing me talk about living life with ease, living the life that you desire. So they reached out and we spoke. And I said, you now have to start figuring out how to say no. Although this is something that you really love and you really are passionate about, you have to figure out how to eventually start saying no, right? Because just because it's a nonprofit for children doesn't mean that it's really aligned. What is the actual the core belief of it? And when she started to look at every organization that she was really giving like 10 to 15 hours a week for each organization, in addition to having her own job, full-time job, I was like, is everything in alignment with your core values? And then that was like the easiest way for her to realize, like, wait, I'm over here dedicating to 5 or 6 orgs, but only really 2 is truly aligned. That's how she was able to create space so that she can have that life, because she wanted to travel, but she couldn't travel because she had meetings that she had to show up for. She had events she had to be there for. She was overcommitting. And now when she realized, you know what, only these 2 is what I really am passionate about, Now the life of Eve started to come. Now she can go out to brunch with the ladies on Sunday. Now she can go catch that flight and do a 4-day weekend because she doesn't have to overcommit and be in that space. Just kind of think about it that what do you need to create space for so that that prayer can really come in and give you the life that you truly desire, right? The last thing I want to hit on is that you still have a role. You still have something that you have to do. Faith doesn't just happen because you just put out the prayer, right? And sometimes it does. Like, I'm one of those people. I literally have prayed a prayer and like in seconds it happens, right? So it was really nothing that I had to do. I just have to have faith. But you also have to figure out, what am I going to do? If it's more money, what are you going to try, right? Good morning, Jamie. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. What is it that you're going to try? Right? A lot of us talk about we need more money, and I hear this all the time, but it's like, okay, what are you going to do? Because now you have a responsibility, right? This is where the action comes in, especially if God is giving you. I always say, whenever and it's not always, but I like to say quite often, whenever I was and I can always speak to money, because money, everybody needs more money, right? Whether it's $5 more or 5,000 or $500,000, there's someone out there that needs more. And I remember every time that I would be like, God, oh my gosh, like I need to pay this and I don't have it. The first idea that normally came was a God idea. And now what most people tend to do is they'll get that God idea, but they will fight it. But I was in the space by this time that I had such a good relationship with God that I realized, oh, this is what I need to focus on. And whenever I acted on that particular initial idea, everything just came smoothly. What we tend to do is that we sit, we see all the options, we hear everything. God is literally loud and telling you. It's like for me at that time, it was make smoothies. And I'm like, make smoothies? What are you talking about? And he sent my ex-boyfriend, at the time, he's my boyfriend. He sent my boyfriend at the time, and he was like, yo, why don't you ask your job? Because at the time I was working, this is years ago. He was like, why don't you ask your job if you can do a smoothie demonstration? And I'm like, boy, I need money. And he was like, just do it. Just do it. So I went to work and they was like, yeah, the students love your journey. Because at the time, that's when I was on my weight loss journey. And smoothies was the big part of it. And everyone knew that. They was like, yes, Ms. Williams, absolutely. We'll let you do that. Told my ex, he was like, great. And again, this is why I love, like, certain people, you need a certain type of person with a certain type of brain. And so he said, okay, I'll bring everything so you can do the demonstration. He said, if they ask you to make their smoothies, I want you to say yes. So God already said this to me, and now he sent someone who is saying, he's confirming his words. So sometimes you're going to have this confirmation. And I did that, and literally, after we finished, they was like, Ms. Williams, can you make my smoothie? Ms. Williams, can you make my smoothie? Ms. Williams. And he's looking at, because he was there still. And he was like, yeah. So he done made the prices. He was like, $4 for a regular fruit smoothie. If you want spinach, it's going to be $5. If you want protein, it's going to be $6. He had everything laid out. I walked out of there with like 25 orders. And so and then he brought the initial setup. So the bottles that I needed, the fruits, the milk, everything. I needed about $1,200. The bill that I received that caused this whole conversation was about $1,200. I was able to make that $1,200 in about a month, right? From that God idea. And then God was like, I'm going to send someone, because I know you're so hard-headed sometimes, which we are. He sent someone with the same idea. And then this person just put the blueprint out there for me. And because I listened, I was able to create what I needed. So we really do. It's like sometimes the space is, you just got to clear the way. And then sometimes the creating the spaces, you have to create what God is telling you to do. So however that translates for wherever you are and what you're praying for, I want you to create that space, right? Currently single, not in a relationship, was talking to God about something. He sends one of my coworkers, and she just randomly dropped this little nugget. She was like, yeah, before I met my husband, she said, I remember being 35, and I just went home and I cleared space. And I was like, she cleared space. She said, yeah. She said, I cleared one side of my closet. She said, because if I'm praying for a husband, if I'm taking up the full walk-in closet, where's he going to fit in this? She said, and although in her mind, she knew they would not live there together, she still understood she had to create that space in order for that person. So she cleared that space. She cleared the side of the bed. She didn't sleep with, a whole bunch of books and laptops and snacks and everything and water. She cleared that space. And then I think she said like within 3 months, she ended up reconnecting with, because her husband is someone that she went to high school with, and they reconnected and they're married. They've been married for about 20 something years now. Create the space, right? So it's like we truly just have to. And I think so many people overcomplicate things like this. And it's just like, well, Tanisha said, just clear my space and I'm going to clear everything out. That may not be the prayer. So what are you praying for? Figure out what the alignment is and go into prayer and ask God, what do I need to clear out? What do I need to make space for? And so some of you, it might be like for me in this season, I had to clear out my schedule. I'm overcommitting to companies. I'm overcommitting. I'm doing too much. I'm burning out physically. I need to clear my schedule. You might need to clear your commitment. You might need to clear a physical space. Clear the space, right? Give God the space so he can give you exactly what you pray for at the scale that he desires. Some of us are praying for very little things. And he's like, if you give me the space, do you know how much more I want to give? Come on now. Look, I'm preaching to myself today. If y'all not feeling it, I understand. But I hope that this is making sense to you. I hope this is resonating with you. I hope this is giving you an aha moment as to why, like, are you doing too much? Are you trying to control the whole situation? Because I know I could be guilty for that too sometimes, trying to be in control of everything. And that was once I got rid of that mindset with God, and I need to get with that mindset with everything, but with God particularly, I had to learn. I can't look, you do better than I do. Like, I just sit back and relax. God can handle all of that. Okay, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop here. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I hope this has resonated. I hope it has given you some kind of a space and a conversation to go back and have with God. So this is one thing I want to leave you with. What's one thing you need to release to make space for what you've been praying for? What is one thing you need to release to make space for what you've been praying for? You can leave that in the comments. We can engage in the comments, especially if you're on YouTube. But leave that, drop that down there, or use that as a space to journal. Right? Journal that out, because again, so many times we don't realize that we're not creating space for God to give us. So I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae. Y'all have an awesome weekend today. I pray for everyone out there. You know, Oklahoma, we had some bad tornadoes last night over in Eden. It was just looking at the video scared me. So I just pray for everyone who is within Tornado Valley. And I pray for everyone else, because I know y'all getting a little bipolar weather as well. So I will see you back here on Monday. Y'all have a great one. Be well and be blessed.
Wow, Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for morning inspiration with friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. ish CT time. See you next time, friend.